What if Nice and X aren't on opposite sides at all, but actually working together? Now, full disclosure, I don't completely believe in it myself, but once I started breaking it down, from hidden frames to theme songs to some suspicious details in the official art, I realized there is way more here than people are discussing. So today, I want to flesh this out, piece by piece, and see if maybe, just maybe, there's more truth to it than we might think. So let's take a look at it together, and you can decide by the end if it makes sense or if I've officially lost it. Also, there will be spoilers ahead. We know that Nice was scouted at 18 years old by Treeman in order to become a hero. He was part of the first round of people actively scouted for the hero role, rather than becoming a hero organically. Shang then used fear to create his perfect persona in hopes that Nice could reach the top 10. 1 year later, when Nice was 19, Rek was then signed on to be Nice's arch nemesis. This is a very brief summary on Nice. If you want to hear more about him, I did make a video about that already, which you can check out on the little eye thing. But for now, I'll assume you know the basics about Nice. As for X, we know that shortly after giving a coin to Lucky Cyan when she was homeless, he shortly ran into a mysterious girl, quite literally called Mysterious Girl, and she gave him a divination. Almost immediately after, X obtains his abilities. And a few years later, he shows up in the hero tournament and becomes Hero X. This is confirmed from the timeline along with official interviews with the creator, along with his PV that was released at the end of episode 24. But how are these two connected? Let's start with Rek. Yes, that Rek. I don't know how, but he found a way to get wrapped up in this. Rek is paid to be Nice's arch nemesis by Treeman, and we see in episode 12 that according to DOS intel, Rek has had an altercation with X in the past, and their general relationship is unknown. This is a really strange detail to throw in when Rek is already dead. But alright, so Rek and X have interacted before. That doesn't mean anything to us right now. But let's hold on to that detail and move on, okay? Because we then have Smile. Both Nice and X were incredibly fond of Smile, and they were both impacted by his death. X, who used to complain about being Hero X and told Smile he just wants to return to his civilian life, is now seen far more motivated to be X. He has a specific goal, and in the season finale, he completely abandons the idea of going back to his civilian life as he officially reveals himself to everyone. Nice also changes. Before, he had to be sort of coerced into doing things, and he was put into a lot of pressure, but he still had a sense of control over himself. And now, you can see he's kind of in shambles. He is underperforming, as Shang mentioned in episode 1, and he has a lot of PTSD from the Smile incident. Fear was also not something that affected him as badly. Before Smile died, he was splashed with fear and he came out unaffected. But after Smile died, just a small bit of it entering his system made him completely freak out. We then have the promotional material, including the official art and the posters. It is incredibly suspicious that X and Nice are the only ones wearing all white. You can argue it can be for aesthetics, but Ghostblade and Queen also have white hair and the same complexions. But they aren't given the same treatment. And the X and Nice parallels do not stop there. You can see them matching in other artworks where everyone else isn't. Is this proof of anything? No, but it's weird. It's weird. You know what else is weird? Their theme songs. For those who don't know, every hero in the show gets a specific theme song that is sort of meant to show their ambitions, values, and internal conflicts, or just what they're generally thinking about. The Iso song is from old Iso's POV, talking about the day Yang Chang's parents got murdered. Queen song is about her wanting to be X. Lily sings to Nueno, etc. We then get to Nice's song, Paragon, one of the best songs in the album, not to be controversial. It's about the audience expecting Nice to perform perfectly and to be the perfect role model. Everything is consistent, the song is a bop, but the bridge stood out to me. Can imagine a world with no fear of hate, waking up with no reason for feeling great. Can imagine the world that you can create. You're the fate that we deserve. X's whole deal is fate. It was his vocabulary word of the day in episode 24. He's trying to change fate, so that already is a bit weird to find in a song outside of his. Can't imagine the world that you can create also doesn't make sense for Nice's theme. Nice was born into the hero system, fabricated adhering to the current hero landscape. He isn't someone trying to change the system like X, nor was he part of forming it like Isol. Aside from mentioning fates, which directly ties to what X says he plans to change, The audience telling Nice that he is the fate they deserve really does stand out to me. Do they mean they deserve the fate to have the perfect hero? Or the fate of fear and the rise of the crumbling perfect persona? And is this the direct fate that X is referring to wanting to change? But with all these minor details out of the way, let's get into one of the more meatier aspects that's actually found in the show. X was using his ability when Nice jumped. What, you don't believe me? Alright, let's break it down. Here's what we know about X's ability. 1. He has an ability that warps space and time. This is confirmed not just from additional material, but by X using a watch in order to make sure he's keeping track of time in the show. 2. It's triggered by snapping his fingers. This one's pretty self-explanatory. And 3. Snapping his fingers brings a change in art style, aka reality. Whenever we see a change in art style in the season, if you listen closely, you'll hear a snap sound effect. That's because X is somewhere watching and using the snap to change reality. Now, with this list in mind, let's look at the sequence of events again. Nice, after being infected by fear, is in a panic. He goes to see Shang at night and he starts freaking out, asking himself, why? Why did I do this? Why? Do you love my acting? In that moment, he starts shifting through realities and we hear the snap sound effect as he lands in the 3D art style in what appears to be midday. He has traveled through space and time. After this, Nice is confused on what's going on, displaying the same symptoms that Queen had when she faced off X in the previous hero tournaments. We then go to Lin Ling, and he starts complaining about getting fired and hating Nice. Shortly after, the screen shows a glitch effect and Nice begins to fly down. As Nice is walking across, the birds begin to fly slowly. The music gets weird, everything is indicating that time is also being messed with in this moment. After this, a composed looking Nice looks at Lin Ling, does the pose, and walks off. After he falls, everything goes back to normal. Now, unless you know another reality warping time bending snapper that is also trying to get heroes to question the system, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say X was there. But I also acknowledge that there's a population out there that speculate that the snapping sound isn't actually X and is just more of a cinematic choice. So let's talk about it. Firstly, we see X snap all the time. And whenever he does, things change. It's the exact same sound effect every single time. And secondly, in interviews with the creator, he actively discusses building X around the idea of someone who changes reality. Because in the show, they knew they wanted to have a change in art styles, so they figured, hey, it'd be cool if we had a character that was around this idea. While granted, it's not explicitly said that X is the guy behind the sound effect, in terms of his described characterization and the process of developing the show, it just adds up. And thirdly, if we look at the timeline, everything in the show is in 2D all the way up until X gains his abilities and begins to play a part in the series. He wasn't there at the Ruins incident, so it's in 2D. He didn't have his powers when Lucky Cyan was homeless, so that arc is in 2D. It wasn't until he became X and actually showed back up in the show that we got changes in the art style in the last few episodes. The original reality is in 2D animation. If it's not in that style, then it's because X is involved and changed it. He also appears in a poster right outside of Lin Ling's office building. I don't know, if you don't think it's X, I'd really like to hear your reasoning. Going back to when Nice was faking his death, X was doing some weirdness in that instance that definitely messed with time. From there, Nice was taken to the Spotlight Organization and turned into what we saw in episode 24. But hold on, why the Spotlight Organization? Why not Treeman? Well, aside from Shang having no idea Nice was dead until Lin Ling revealed himself, something interesting to note is that Nice is no longer affiliated with Treeman. If you check his profile, it just shows a bunch of question marks. Him and X are the only two people in the hero tournament not affiliated with a specific management agency, and this was by design. X stepped in when he did because he had a plan for Nice, and that plan involves getting him out of Treeman's influence. The Spotlight Organization is publicly known as a terrorist group, but in reality, it's a group funded by DOS in order to create villains for their heroes to fight by using fear. And since they are funded by DOS, they can also help them in eliminating rival heroes or things of that nature if needed. The head of that organization is Queen's father. They are behind what occurred with DJ Shindig and vilified Enlighter. both Treeman and the Spotlight Group have been working on using fear as a weapon, and given the fact that the Hero Commission wants X gone, it's no shocker that they took Nice, a hero with incredibly high trust value, and used fear to amplify his ability with the goal to take down X in the tournament. But then comes the miscalculation. Nice is no longer affiliated with Treeman. He no longer relies on trust, and his perfect persona has been shattered, along with his reputation. X, with allies, plans to completely ruin the tournament. But why would they work together? Well, other than the answer that Nice would want to take down a system that led both his best friend and his childhood hero to die, he himself is also pretty messed up from being in this hero business, so their values could align enough to collaborate. But what's more interesting is X and his potential motivations. The episode 24 music video shows X and his origin story. As I mentioned before, a girl appears and gives him a divination, which leads to him activating his abilities in some way. Well, in the wiki, there's also a girl named quadruple question mark, who I'll just call question mark, I guess. And I'll leave a link to the wiki in her profile, but we don't know much about her other than the fact that her ability is related to tarot cards. She's a hero, and she's assigned on with DOS. Not to mention, she looks just like the tarot card girl that gave the divination to X. In fact, personally, I'd be more surprised if it turns out this wasn't the same person. She's also classified as X's arch nemesis. X, the tarot girl, and Hero 9, who we see has that colorful jacket and has similar type of stylish vibe, are all seen to be allies of some sort from a while back. Until something changed and Hero 9 is nowhere to be seen in the show. The tarot girl might be working with DOS and is working against X, and X himself is alone trying to gather allies to take down the system. And we are going to dive into a little bit more lyrics. I'm sorry, I know a few of you probably are like, why am I even bothering? The reason I'm bothering is because of its sister show Link Click. In that show, the lyrics from literally the very first outro has been predicting plot lines that are taking place seasons later. It's crazy. So given the fact that it is from the same people, I can't brush it off because these lyrics are way too suspicious. Plus, I feel like in order to make a theory about this show or any show Lee Howling makes, there's gotta be some level of delusion going on because, yeah, I'm really throwing it out there. I'm not even gonna lie. But anyway, X has a theme song called A New Type of Hero. But what you probably don't know is that X has another theme song, which is called Jeopardy. This song clearly discusses X, as it mentions that the person has the ability to disappear, mess with time, being quiet, and quite forgettable. And then when you see the rest of the song, see the table in the kitchen that you planned my future on, but you knew I was something else, turned around and the kid had gone. Whoever X is talking about is someone that knew him since he was a kid. Somebody planned a certain future for him to follow, maybe for him to just study and live an average life, or maybe something else. Give me the Jeopardy, cause I need it. Secret identity, can't reveal it. Time to be a superhuman. Time to fight for planet Earth. Secret identity is talking about X's secret identity. Then we have Bing Bang Boom, stopping all the crime in the nick of time. Bing Bang Boom, shield you from the blast, cause I move so fast. I'm gonna save you, I'm gonna save you, I'm gonna save you. We get more lyrics describing fighting crime in a flashy way, followed by him saying he's going to save someone. While it can seem like he's just talking about maybe a random pedestrian, we then get to the next part in which X says he won't turn back on the danger because it would signal the death of him. The song then mentions back to the idea that he is going to save someone. X seems to have a mission to save someone from their fate. He's saying, give me the danger, I'll save you anyway. X plans to do something to ruin the hero tournament and change fate's plans. And Nice is a part of his scheme. This leads to the main hypothesis. X, knowing that Nice is deeply impacted by the hero system, waits to see when he begins to question things. The moment he does, he zaps him out of there. They plan to fake his death and make sure there's a witness. Nice, no longer confined to the Treeman Corp, returns under the guise of working for the Spotlight organization to enter the tournament. Which is exactly what X was expecting to happen because he knows his arch nemesis, the Terror Lady, wants to take X down. X, having gathered more allies like Ahu and other people we have yet to meet, has a plan to ruin the hero tournament and change the way the system works because changing the system is the key to defeating his arch nemesis and potentially saving a specific person in X's life. Nice, freed from Treeman's grasp, completes his arc by embracing his imperfections. And maybe later he dies for real this time, I don't know. This is the X and Nice working together theory. So, what do you think? There's clearly a lot of unknowns, but hopefully this video pointed out a lot of other clues that might help you guys come up with your own theories on what's going on. The goal of this video was honestly just to put together everything that sort of hints that there's something going on between them together, so that way people out there, much smarter people out there, can maybe piece something together and come up with more sound theories than what I've presented today. Also, if you liked my crazy theory, consider subscribing. I usually do more research-based videos, I don't really theorize that much, but I'm always open to suggestions in the comments about what to do next. I just figured fleshing out the idea of Nice and X working together as its own video would be fun and a bit unhinged, so here we are. But with that, bye.